Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Funny Stories with Oldschoolcurt. This story takes place back in 2013 in Houston, Texas, at a place called Warehouse Live, where I was attending an Insane Clown Posse concert. I like Insane Clown Posse, don't judge me. Well, anyway, let me give you the layout of Warehouse Live. You walk into Warehouse Live, and in the back, there's the stage. Right next to the stage is a bar area that has a balcony connected to it. And there's a set of stairs from the floor to the bar area. And that's where I always hang. I always hang during the concert at the stairs because you can see everything. Nobody can stand in front of you. You always get in that middle step, and I can see the whole concert. Well, on that balcony, I see this guy roll up. He's in a wheelchair, probably in his 50s or 60s, and he's got these long orangutan-looking arms, big old muscular arms. So we're gonna refer to him as DK, as in he reminds me of Donkey Kong. So DK comes rolling up. He opens there's a little gate that attaches the balcony to the bar. He opens it up. He goes and he sits in the balcony. Because the balcony is kind of where the people that are either in wheelchairs or are super rich get to be on this balcony. So DK comes on the balcony and he gets kind of right beside me. Like, here's the gate that from the balcony. Here's the little place that opens the balcony to the stage, and I'm leaning on it. And DK sees me, and he's like, "Hey, how you doing?" And I'm like, "Hey, how you doing?" You know, and we're talking about the show and all kinds of stuff. Well, DK pulls out a cigarette, puts it in his mouth, and he says, "I'll be right back." And he kind of just leaves to go outside to smoke. Well, while he's gone, this big old woman comes up, this big, healthy, burly woman who looks exactly like Mrs. Puff from SpongeBob. So we're going to refer to her as Mrs. Puff. Just picture Mrs. Puff from SpongeBob with clown makeup on. Because, you know, a lot of ICP fans, they paint their face. I don't, but a lot of them paint their face. Well, Mrs. Puff comes up there, opens the balcony gate, and gets in the exact spot that DK was in. And she's with her skinny-ass little boyfriend. And it kind of looked funny because when they stood next to each other, they looked exactly like the number 10 because she was kind of hefty and he was kind of skinny. But, you know, I'm sorry, I digress. Just thought that was funny. Well, she just takes DK's spot and she's standing there. And I just look at her and I'm like, "Hey, how you doing?" Doesn't say nothing to me, and her boyfriend looks at me like he wants to kill me. So I just go, "Okay, whatever." So I'm sitting there watching the show. And then at the corner of my eye, I see DK rolling up. DK rolls up. And he gets right behind Mrs. Puff, taps her on the shoulder and says, "Hey, man, I was here first, man. What are you doing?" And she said, "I don't care. You left. That's your fault. You should not have left." And I kind of felt bad, you know. But anyway, I go back to watching the concert, and I notice DK stays behind Mrs. Puff. And he is just burning a hole in the back of her head, just staring at her, just angry. And her boyfriend's looking at DK, and DK kind of looks up at him, and I'm just sitting there leaning on the balcony like, "Oh, crap, something's going to go down." But, you know, I mind my own business. I watch the show. Well, Mrs. Puff's boyfriend leaves to go use the bathroom, and DK is staring at Mrs. Puff, just staring. And I'm looking at DK, and I see this just hate in his eyes. He looks up at Mrs. Puff, and out of nowhere, with his orangutan arms, DK jumps up and just grabs a piece of her hair and rips it out of her damn skull. I mean, and the thing is she doesn't even scream. She turns around, looks down at him, and he looks up at her, and she just goes, "Ah!" And she slaps the piss out of him. And she's slapping him hard and fast, man. She's slapping him kind of like, think of E. Honda from Street Fighter. She's got that old rhythmic slap. She's, "Ah!" And he's just, you know, he's taking the slaps. He's taking the slaps like a champ. But, you know, he's got them orangutan arms, so he starts working the body, which, let's be honest, there was a lot to work with this lady. And he's just working it. And he's hitting her in the stomach and hitting her in the stomach and hitting her in the stomach. It kind of reminded me of Little Mac on Mike Tyson's Punch-Out when you have to fight King Hippo and you have to hit the stomach. That's what he was doing. He was doing the King Hippo strategy. She was doing the Honda strategy. So I am leaned back watching them go at it, right? And I am just smiling. I'm just so happy. There's a tear in my eye because I'm so happy. I'm just loving this creation that God has made for my eyes to gaze upon, right? So I'm just enjoying the hell out of it. Well, then all of a sudden I hear her boyfriend I hear her boyfriend behind me, and he comes running up. And I'm like, oh, man, now Mrs. Puff and her skinny boyfriend are going to double team him, you know. I think this isn't going to be fair to DK, but I ain't jumping in because I can't fight with the crap. Well, the boyfriend jumps over the gate, and I'm thinking, okay, he's going to start welling on DK, but he doesn't. He walks up. Sorry, this is very funny. He puts his hand in between them, closes his eyes, and goes, stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it. When this happens, I black out because I laugh so hard. Do you ever laugh so hard that you black out for a second? I went, hey! And then I was right back at it, laughing. I'm talking, I had been drinking beers. I got beer coming out of my nose. I'm crying. I'm laughing at this. So just imagine what I'm seeing, okay? I'm seeing Mrs. Puff do the E-Honda. I'm seeing DK do the Mike Tyson's punch out to King Hippo strategy. And I'm seeing her boyfriend going, stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it, right? So I'm done. I'm laughing so hard, I'm damn near peeing on myself. Well, security finally sees it, and they come running up, and they damn near break the balcony gate down, and they separate them, right? And they go really hard on DK. Like, they go up to him, and they're yelling at him, which kind of pissed me off, because, you know, yeah, I know he grabbed her hair, but they took his spot, you know? Well, see, the security guards are just yelling at him, and the poor guy puts his head down, and he does the walk of shame towards the exit. Well, I guess it'd be the roll of shame since he was in a wheelchair, so he's doing the roll of shame, you know. Very sad to watch. But anyway, security's talking to Mrs. Puff and her boyfriend. Well, Mrs. Puff points at me and says, come here. And I'm like, I ain't going over there. I ain't got nothing to do with this. Well, the security guard goes, hey, you know. And, you know, it's a security guard. I don't want to get any trouble. I don't know what story she's making up about me, so, you know, I go over there. Well, when I go over there, security goes, hey, man, she says that you saw the whole thing. What do you know about the situation? And I said, I know 2 things. That was the greatest thing that I have ever seen in my life, and I don't know who started it. And I just backed away. Well, Mrs. Puff gets extremely angry, and security says, Mrs. Puff, you and your boyfriend have to go. And so Mrs. Puff, before she leaves, walks up to me and goes, you are an asshole. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Hey, it's not my fault that y'all got into a fight. And then her boyfriend walks up, and I'm like, oh, crap. You know, like I said, I'm not a fighter, but this dude's skinny. I could use him to pick crap out of my teeth, man. I ain't worried about this guy. He walks up to me and leans right in my face, and he's just, and his breath smells exactly like fish, which he's with Miss Puff, so I guess it makes sense. Well, he basically goes, you, sir, have no class. And then he backs away and he walks off. Now, I start laughing because nobody's called me sir before. I ain't never heard nothing like that. So, you know, that had me laughing. And then him and Mrs. Puff walk away. So the number 10 walks out of the building. And I'm just like leaning on the balcony, just laughing, thinking about what happened. Just enjoying the hell out of myself. Just laughing, thinking it's over. But it wasn't over. All of a sudden, I hear all this commotion towards the exit. And I turn, and the guy, DK, has turned around in his wheelchair. And he just starts going ape shit, just, I'm not leaving here, this is blah, 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 blah. You know, he's going nuts. Well, security just gets tired of it, and they run up on him, and they grab him, and they turn him around, and they wheel DK out of there while he's making all these empty threats, right? Now, let me tell you something. There's 2 things in life that you can do and not look tough. One of them is drink through a straw. Observe. I'm going to kick your ass. See, it doesn't work. The other is being in a wheelchair, getting pushed out of somewhere beyond your control and trying to talk tough. It looked a little something like this. Okay, here we go. And scene. That's exactly what it looked like. And I am laughing so hard. Poor DK's out of there. Mrs. Puff and her boyfriend are out of there. And I just enjoyed the rest of the concert. Good times. Good times. All right, if you enjoyed this story and you would like to see more, please leave a like, leave a comment in the comment section. Share this video if you think it'll make anybody else laugh, and I'm gonna do a story every week. Thank you. Goodbye.